Hi everyone! Thank you for joining me in my studio today. I am Tracey Lee Green and I'm a Canadian acrylic wildlife painter. And if you want to paint like a pro, these videos are for you. If you like what you see on my videos, please hit the thumbs up at the bottom and click on that bell notification and it'll send you a quick notification every time I put on a new video. Are you excited? I am. Let's get started. As you can see, I use a Masterson Stay Wet palette. You can order these from any art supply store. I like to keep my acrylics wet and use them day after day. If you prefer to use a piece of reusable or peelable paper, it's just personal preference. I mix a lot of grays and a lot of blacks, a lot of darks. So I like to be able to go back in day after day and use them without worrying whether or not I'm going to be able to recreate the same color. The Stay Wet palette basically is a piece of foam sponge on the bottom you keep wet and a piece of paper on top. The paper is specially designed to keep your paint from bleeding through. Now you'll see there's a little bit of color that does come through, but it's not enough to stain the paper. Moisture comes up from the bottom, helping to keep your acrylics wet. Now I will get approximately maybe 2 weeks out of a sheet of paper before it starts breaking down. And I'll get maybe about 6 weeks out of a sponge before I need to replace it. They do just start to fall apart. So I tend to replace them before we get to that stage. My basic color scheme has been simplified to use the color wheel. I use the primaries for every painting. I no longer change. This is it. I use a red, a yellow, a blue, titanium white. Now I go one step beyond that, and for each primary I use a warm and a cooler version of them. So I have a warm red and a cool red. Now you'll notice there's the 12-inch side to the palette and the 9-inch side. I'm going to go ahead and lay my warms because I have more warm colors along the longer edge. And I don't have any preference. I just typically put my reds beside each other. Now I use fluid acrylics because they have a really high pigmentation. When I run out of a specific color though, if I have a tube color, a heavy body, I will use that instead. I just like the way the fluid acrylics, when you add water, the pigment does not disperse the way it does with the heavy body. Now I will put up at the towards the end of this video the colors that I'm laying out in my palette. I'll put those up for you so you have those. So I basically have my warm red, my cool yellow, my warm yellow. I usually put my white just sort of at the center so I can get to it relatively quickly. My cool blue, my warm blue. Now you'll notice I don't have black. I mix my own blacks. There will be another video showing you how I do that. And I also don't use greens out of a tube or container because I find them too acidic. They're too hard on the eyes. So I mix all my own greens. And again, you'll see that in a color video that I do. That's my basic color layout. I paint 99% of my paintings with that. You'll see here that I have some of these come with your Masterson palette. So if you use any type of additives or mediums, you can put them in there. But what I do is I like to play around with the very high flow acrylics. Now, I don't use these in every painting, so they sit here in these little covered tubes. They'll last quite a long time. And you can't really, there's not a big selection of colors in these, but if you go with the golden, you can usually get a pack of 5 for a reasonable price that come with fluorescent pink, a fluorescent blue, a really dark blue, typical red, and then a yellow. So I use these just to play with every once in a while if I want to pop a color. They're for experimentation. So always experiment. It's fun. And that's what I've got in those. This is the basic color palette. In this palette, every painting I've painted has come from that. Very simple. You don't need to invest hundreds of dollars in paint. If you're a beginner or an intermediate, you can get away with using these for every single painting. So tune in again to see how to mix a black. Keep your eyes open for my color theory videos, and I hope this helped you today. Enjoy!